The furries are coming for me. I'd heard of furries, but to be honest, I didn't think they were real. Then, one filed to run against me for Congress.
I mean, I've never seen a fundraising appeal quite like this one.
A man named Samuel Smeltzer,
who identifies as a honey badger, who celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk, and who was banned from X for posting this photo.
He's running as Elyon Badger, and he's a furry.
He's seeking the Democratic nomination for Michigan's 7th district in the 26 midterms. But this guy is far out there, even for Democrats. Apparently a proud member of the furry community. He has been campaigning in his full costume under the name Elyon Badger, which is his official name on the ballot. We did reach out to Smeltzer's campaign for comment on his remarks, and they responded with an inappropriate meme.
That was the meme I replied with in the email.
I'm Elyon, I'm running for Congress, and I am the coolest congressional candidate you're ever gonna meet.
This is a real politician running for Congress. And this is a real fundraising email I got from his incumbent opponent, Tom Barrett, the House representative from Michigan's 7th district, my former district where I lived for 27 years, titled "The Furries Are Coming for Me." First off, they're doing what for you? And second, I have this sudden primal need to know more. I gotta get to the bottom of this. This is still my parents' district, and if they're gonna be voting for this weed-themed honey badger, then I wanna know, like, everything. Who are they? What's their platform? Is this a sex thing? I don't know, sometimes you just stumble across something so interesting, you need to know more. So I did what any sensible American would do in this situation. I tried to contact my representative.
You've reached Tom Barrett's office. Please leave a message and we'll get back to you.
Well, I guess if I can't get a hold of Tom, there's only one other thing left for me to do. Hi, Elyon? My name is Travis. I used to work at The Onion. I'd love to interview you for my YouTube channel. And just like that, I'm off to Michigan. Maybe I'll finally get to finish that travel video while I'm at it. Aw, man, I forgot about snow. Yo, Elyon. It's Travis. I'm here in Lansing. Where you at? You're getting chalk. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, looks like I'm gonna have some time to kill here in Lansing until the interview. So let's talk about what's likely the reason you clicked on this video in the first place.
He's a furry.
He's a furry? Isn't that like a sex thing? No. And I want to take a minute in this video to kind of normalize the concept. I went to school for animation, so I know a ton of furries. And it was something I had to get over in my life because I always associated it with like a sex thing. But it's not. And if it's not that, then what is it? When I enrolled at Lansing Community College in 2007, that was the first experience I ever had meeting a furry. One of the guys in one of my art classes was a truck driver who was obsessed with the movie Balto. And that was like his fursona. He wanted to be a Balto character. Like as a truck driver, he really identified with Siberian Husky sled dogs who would like pull stuff through the snow and deliver things across Alaska or whatever. So that was like his thing. He was an ice road trucker who identified with Balto. And once I went to Savannah College of Art and Design for animation, I started meeting a lot more furries. So let's dig into the phenomenon.
Sean Hannity has no idea what the furry world is. He is so mystified by it. He thinks it's pretty cool, but he doesn't know what it is. How would you explain it to him?
I remember seeing an interview where somebody asked like a furry what was wrong with them, and their response was, "What's wrong with the world?" And I like that. So what my classmate explained was that the world felt so absurd to him that there was like some sort of cognitive dissonance in his brain that he could not justify existing in this world as just a normal person. If you look at celebrities and who's in charge of politics, they all eventually come across as clowns.
Referring to Donald Trump as a clown would hardly be an original stroke of genius on the part of any commentator.
So much of the world and how it's run and set up makes absolutely no sense. sense. But you know what does make sense? Cartoons. Things aimed at children that spell out how the world works in completely certain terms. In Captain Planet, you always know who the bad guy is.
If there's anything I like more than being mean, it's being sneaky.
So as people who struggle to reconcile with reality and see the world in this cartoonish way, it makes sense in some people's brains to treat the world as a cartoon, to see the absurd in everything, including themselves, to identify with weirdness. The world is such a weird and broken place. To make sense of it, what this guy said was that he embraces his weirdness, and he reflects that out into the world again. In the 2024 election cycle, the most effective attack the Democrats had against the Republicans was Tim Walz calling them weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are.
It's an incredible insult because any well-adjusted human being knows that they're a little bit weird. On some level, our weirdness is actually what makes us unique. So Republicans like Tom Barrett do not see things this way. If you look at a lot of right-wing politics, it's trying to funnel everybody into this state of normalcy, which doesn't exist. It's completely fabricated. What does it mean to be normal? How do you define normalcy? All right, let's take a typical political alignment chart and figure out what normal is. When a society tries to define normal, they put up a wall over here and a wall over here, and everything inside of it is what they consider normal. You might recognize the walls here as something called the Overton window, which was invented right here in Michigan at the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. And I'm gonna be going up there to talk to them about the Overton window, so like and subscribe if that's something that interests you. And you might be thinking, Travis, what do you have against normal people, man? You're pretty normal yourself. And it's not that I necessarily have anything against the concept of normalcy, is that the process of defining borders on the edge of society and collapsing them inward until you find normal is actually a concept that was developed by the Nazis. A society picks a set of traits to define itself around and excludes everything else that's not part of that. That's like textbook Nazism. So people like Elyon Badger in the furry community embrace those edges and want to exist outside of them.
Back in June, Elyon wrote in the Lansing City Pulse, "There's such a loving acceptance for being different in the LGBTQ+ community, which reminds me that nobody can take my whimsy or my hope, and the world might just need our silly now more than ever."
You had to weigh in on legislation about, and I hope I'm reading this correctly, furries.
I did.
Now I know what furries are, and is that the same furries that I do not use my work computer to search for?
That's right. When I ran for public office, I never thought I'd be talking about furries in this job. My Republican colleagues in the state legislature, they were promoting an internet hoax that Texas public school students were identifying as cats. The schools were providing litter boxes to those students. Anyway, they decided to write a bill to combat this completely made up problem. And it fell to me as a member of the Public Education Committee to question the author of that bill. And so I just asked him a pretty simple question. Has there been a single documented case of a school providing a litter box to students? And he couldn't name one.
We are spending precious legislative time toward the end of this legislative session on a bill called the Furries Act. And honestly, Representative Gertis, this whole thing is just weird and honestly a little creepy. And I think that's the point.
This past year in 2025, Republicans in Texas introduced the Furries Act, forbidding unlawful representation of role-playing in education.
The bill is meant to specifically target what are known as furries.
This bans any non-human behavior or role-playing in schools. As somebody whose main hobby is tabletop role-playing games, this strikes a nerve with me. This is near and dear to my heart. It is the D&D satanic panic all over again. Tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons have proven to be extremely useful as teaching aids. Being able to put yourself into another person's shoes and act as them allows you to see the world in a different way. In my last video, I talked about mirror neurons. That's what's happening when you role play. Your brain syncs up with the person that you're acting as and allows you to look at the world through a different set of eyes. A lot of people might recognize this as the basis of empathy. And something that I've found with the furry community is that they are some of the most empathetic people in the world. Okay, now I want to talk about Elyon's opponent, Tom Barrett. Tom is the representative for Michigan's 7th district, which encompasses Lansing, Livingston County, Ingham County, Eaton County, and some other county I don't remember. I haven't lived here in like 10 years. So Tom sent out that email to my parents who forwarded it to me, and I could not stop laughing. The furries are coming for me? Real quick while I'm editing, I really appreciate that Tom just has this video on his YouTube channel called Barrett High Def B-Roll. Makes editing this video a lot easier. Thanks, Tom. I'll give that a like.
Maybe the most useful thing I've ever seen him do.
Tom's typical campaign tactic is to go around talking to old ladies in retirement homes and making empty promises to them.
There is no doubt in my mind that Tom is hyper aware of the exact types of problems that millions of working class Americans deal with every day. The problem is I also think he sees them as basically just like a topic for a fundraising email.
What's frustrating to me is that these things are so obvious. There's absolutely no reason why we should have poor people in the richest country in the world. There's no reason why people should be saddled with medical debt on Christmas. There's no reason why the state of Michigan should repave its roads with asphalt that breaks up in the winter. These are all policies devised around saving money instead of helping people and doing the government's job. Tom used to fly helicopters for the Air Force or something, and something I just do not understand about these military guys in Congress is how they're so okay with socialism in the military, but not in society. My grandpa receives full medical benefits for fighting in Korea. He said, I just don't understand. Why can't everybody have the full military coverage that I got for fighting in Korea? There's like a mental block with people where they see all the benefits that people get from like the military or disabilities and all that sort of stuff, and they support it 100%, yet they do not support socialized medicine. Makes no sense to me. Now, I'm just a bill here on Capitol Hill, the big beautiful bill that Trump wanted, that Tom helped sign into law. This bill will transfer unfathomable amounts of wealth from the poor to the hyper rich. Tom actually just signed a healthcare bill on the 17th of December. And this is that bill that's supposed to take away millions of people's healthcare and try and get them on what's called a health savings account. Now, a health savings account is something that the rich use as a tax haven. They dump money into it and then they get it all back at the end of the year tax-free. It's essentially a way to hide your money from the government for a while. There might be an obvious reason why rich people are using that as a healthcare solution. Everything's getting so expensive. We have a $39 trillion debt in this country that is causing inflation to explode. I remember hearing about Tom Barrett a while back when people vandalized his office over there with chalk. Now, he called these people terrorists. The guy freaks out at the littlest things, right? That's public property. People are allowed to write in chalk, which comes off in the rain.
Ugh, speaking of, it started raining out there. Apologies for the reflection in the glasses. All right, so while I continue to wait for Elyon to get here with his chalk, for whatever reason, let's talk a little bit more about Tom Barrett's political legacy, because I find his political pedigree fascinating. Tom Barrett currently occupies the congressional office of his great-grandfather, Louis Charles Rabout, whose forever lasting legacy in Congress will be introducing the legislation that put the words "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. Yuck. Here's the thing, unlike Tom, Rabout was a Democrat, and somehow still introducing bills like that. US politics used to be very different. He represented Michigan's 14th district in Congress from 1935 to 1947, and then again in 1949 to 1961 when he died in office, exactly 2 decades before Tom was born. In a move that I actually find pretty endearing, Tom wrote a letter to his fellow congresspeople asking to be able to occupy that office, the Longworth House office building, room 1232. In the letter, he mentions that while he never got to meet his great-grandfather, his legacy is something my whole family is very proud of. Tom apparently even named his youngest son after him.
70 years ago today, President Eisenhower signed the bill into law that added "under God" to our Pledge of Allegiance. My family is really proud of that story because it was my great-grandfather, Congressman Louis Rabout from Michigan, who introduced that bill into Congress, and we're proud of that legacy and proud to see that continue. Ashley and I named our youngest son Louis after my great-grandfather, and as I said, we're very proud of that background and history in our family. Wanted to share that story with you today.
So real quick, I mentioned he died in office. And something I find pretty interesting about Rabout's final years in office are that he was medically in decline, and the people around him knew it, yet his doctors and aides told them he was in wonderful physical shape. I don't know why I bring that up. Not like nowadays anybody would lie about somebody in office's declining physical condition. Now, if Tom ever heard some of the proposals that his great-grandfather was throwing around while he was in office, he might have a different, less exuberant opinion.
This 82nd Congress stands at the threshold of immortality. We have an opportunity that few Congresses have to ensure our place in history. If we deny the government the authority to roll back prices and maintain firm economic controls, we are sure to be remembered. We will be remembered by the American people as the horse meat Congress, the Congress that put the old gray mare back on the dinner table.
Dang. It It's kind of wild that in 2025, that dude's great-grandson would roll back regulations on the amount of wild horses that could be slaughtered for meat. That was in Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. Horse meat's back on the menu, boys. Oh hey, Tom Barrett's office got back to me. Yep, after months of waiting, I finally got a reply from Keith, Tom's district director. After explaining that I was hoping to get some information about the email campaign that sparked this investigation, he agreed to put me in contact with Tom's campaign director, Will Funk, who I never heard back from. I did get a nice follow-up explanation from Keith, however, about how Tom uses the Overton window when drafting policy. So if you're interested in that, again, subscribe and stay tuned for my next video. And a quick aside here, I really enjoyed how Keith referred to him as Elyon, the Badger. It felt very much like a grumpy hotel concierge in a movie who has a particular source of frustration. All right, well, I guess that means I did my best to be as fair and balanced as my hero Sean Hannity over at Fox News. Hold on, who added this to my script? That's a lot. I don't like that guy. All right, well, it stopped raining, which is perfect timing because I just got a message from Elyon who says that he's here with the chalk, whatever that means.
You know what? I forgot my Tom Barrett wanted poster. Tom Barrett is our representative here in Michigan's 7th Congressional District, and he is a wanted man because he cannot be found anywhere. Now, what we've done here is we've gone to the troll's home. That's Tom Barrett's office. Underground little troll, my arch nemesis, my greatest enemy, my Batman to my bane, Tom Barrett. We brought some weapons of mass instruction, chalk, his greatest nemesis, and we're gonna have some fun today. Chat, what's some fun messages that we should leave for Tom Barrett, huh? All right, let's write a heinous message across the windowsill here. Let's say T-A-X. Yeah, that way you know we're serious. 3 exclamation points. Fuck you, Tom! Let's go! Ah! Fear me, Tom! Fear us taxing the rich! Fear us taking the money from your donors! And best of all, fear the furries! Yeah! Tom Barrett's a coward! You'll never get the troll out of his cave! That's why you need the better troll to come answer to you, the voters! That's why we're here today! Isn't that right, everybody? Yeah! How much more does the billionaire class need? That's my question to you, the voters, every single day. Good catch, babe.
And to my surprise, after chalking Tom's office, Elyon was gonna interview me? Hang on.
Elyon Badger here, congressional candidate for Michigan's 7th District, and here we have...
TV Travis.
TV Travis, all right. TV Travis, what are you doing here today?
I'm gonna write some messages on Tom Barrett's wall with chalk.
Hell yeah, and what does Tom Barrett see those messages as?
Terrorism.
Hell yeah, and so in the country of free speech, being the First Amendment, what does leaving a message on chalk say to somebody like Tom Barrett?
I guess I'm a terrorist.
You like to say to Mr. Barrett? Because here's the thing about representation in Congress. Tom Barrett doesn't just represent the people in this district, he represents the people in the entire nation, because his vote affects people like you out in California, doesn't it?
He voted for the big beautiful bill, so maybe I should write something about that.
I agree with that. You should definitely write something about the big beautiful bill. Come on, we gotta be clever here, we're the Onion.
Why? Tom is a big beautiful boy.
He's a big beautiful boy!
Yes, unfortunately, it seems like Elyon's goal all along was to get me on a Department of Homeland Security watch list. The real question is, why am I including it in this video and putting evidence of this on the internet? Even crazier still, we were being recorded the whole time. Okay, so after Elyon somehow entrapped me into committing a bit of light domestic terrorism, we finally had our interview.
I think this might make for a good intro.
Is that thing real?
Yeah, it actually works. Like there's a whole Benjamin in there. I think my props should be functional and
here we are in front of Tom Barrett's office in Lansing, Michigan.
I'm interviewing Elyon Badger, who's running for Congress in 2026.
And my contenders are eventually going to be Tom Barrett if I win the primary. But for right now, I have 2 other centrist Democrats and 1 other progressive that I'm competing with for the nomination for next year. The first platform is going to be Bridget Brink, who is the former ambassador to Ukraine.
CIA agent?
Not officially, but if you go through her record, it's got about as many black marks in it as the Epstein files. I'm not going to talk too hard about my other Democratic nominees. Bridget Brink is a very sweet lady. I've met with her a few times. We've talked about many things, and we actually agree on a lot of things. Her priorities, unfortunately, are Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. I disagree with that. My priority is healthcare. Second contender is Matt Mostum. He's a former Navy SEAL, carried the nuclear football for President Obama, passes the vibe check, 8 out of 10. I love to hang out with him. Matt's cool. He is also along a similar platform with me, with making things affordable for families because rent is too expensive, groceries are too expensive, debt is too high. And so if we can address those 3 things, we can really start helping the struggling American families. The other contender, William Lawrence. He's an activist. He actually did work with the Sunrise Movement. Some of the stuff that he fought for with his progressivism ended up in the infrastructure bill. William does have some connections with some of the Democratic Party. And then there's me, an IT contractor, marijuana enthusiast, and rightfully pissed off Honey Badger because what did Tom Barrett do?
He signed the big, beautiful bill.
I call it the big bad bill.
Oh, I call him a big, beautiful boy.
What convinced me, a normal person, normal, how many normal people have a cape, right?
Incredibles really did capes dirty.
They did.
Yeah.
You know, here's the thing, like, you know, my cape, it's a magnetic cape. So you just pop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to worry about getting sucked into an airplane engine like that.
And, you know, here's a little secret, right? And this is something that I haven't told anyone yet. This cape actually has bulletproof armor in it. I have 3 layers of Kevlar covering my shoulders and upper back. Can't even see it.
You think somebody's going to shoot you in the back, though?
I wouldn't put it past them. I'm the guy that's saying, hey, we should tax rich people to pay for poor people's health care. And in America, that's the quickest way to get shot, isn't it?
That's true. Although being a healthcare CEO is another good way to get shot.
When I was in the National Guard, I signed up when I was 19 and I left when I was 21. I got medically separated, but then was denied all of my VA claims. That was one of the infinite reasons why I decided to run for Congress, because we don't get 38,000 homeless veterans out of nowhere, do we? Get it out of being cruel and nothing more. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, when our military gets an increased budget of $100 billion every single year to where it's now $1.2 trillion of taxpayer money being spent on bullets, fuel, maintenance, and it's not being spent on veterans, is it?
No, it's not being spent on veterans. It's not being spent on the people who are actually over there fighting. Not being spent on anything but the contracts with these large companies that make the, like Lockheed Martin, all them. That's who's making the money off this, not the military.
You know what's even more crazy is the military is actually the only way out for a lot of people from poor communities like mine. Mm-hmm. About half the people that ended up leaving my small town of Wolverine, Michigan, ended up being in the military. Mm-hmm. And what is the military but socialism?
It's socialism for people who've broken their bodies for the country.
Yep. And so, you know, at the end of it, we have 38,000 homeless veterans. We have $38 trillion in debt. We have representatives like Tom Barrett who won't come out of their troll cave. And so it's going to be up to actual trolls like me to make things better.
How is trolling people going to make things better?
I think that we are not a serious country. We really aren't. Like, we've got an orange-faced president who spent Christmas Day sending out 200 tweets, and one of them was bombing Nigeria because they were being mean to Christians.
Yeah, so it's not a Christian genocide like they say, but they will use the language of that to justify any means necessary to take Nigeria's oil.
We have a billionaire-owned mass media lying to the voters about why our military is being used to commit acts of terrorism in countries that have never committed an act of terrorism against us. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's also that way we can take their natural resources for our own. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, are we the bad guys?
Correct. I think people like Tom Barrett really need to have like a we're the baddies moment, which I feel like is kind of happening. You see these special elections that are happening right now, 15-point shift like countrywide. People like Tom Barrett need to start waking up and not capitulating to the terrorist that he is afraid of in the White House.
Because Donald Trump is a terrorist. There is no way to put it.
That's why everything is kind of crumbling around us right now and why we need people like Elyon Badger in office.
Yeah! My 6 policies that I want to achieve in Congress. Number 1, healthcare. We're going to make that a constitutional amendment with the blue wave. We need 38 states on board. We need the House, we need the Senate, and we need the legislatures. You, the voters, are the only people that can make that happen. Policy number 2, we're going to end our failed war on drugs, and we're going to start a war with hugs, because everybody needs fucking therapy after this. Number 3, the Hyperstate Project. I want to use the center lane divider of our highway grid and make elevated high-speed rail that's solar powered. We can create millions of jobs and put young people to work, building something that will outlive them. And at the end of it, we'll generate 82 terawatts of electricity with solar panels. We'll have 25,000 miles of high-speed rail. We'll reduce our foreign oil consumption by 1.3 trillion barrels, and we'll add 50% to our GDP over 10 years. Number 4, we are going to ban congressional stock trading. And if you are a member of Congress or your family is trading in stock, not only will you and your family go to jail, but you will go to a gulag where you will work hard for the rest of your life, just like we are condemned to do, because you don't even pay us enough to fucking live. And life is a prison here, isn't it?
It really is.
And then number 5, I want a technology bill of rights. I want to heavily restrict artificial intelligence. I want to make sure that your home electricity is cheap. I want to make sure that you have the right to repair your own vehicle. I want to make sure that parts are available so that way you can repair your electronics. And number 6, we are investing in free higher education. Higher. Because if young people are not debt-free to go and start living their lives and earning and growing, and not just college, but trade school as well, because we're going to need a lot of tradesmen to build the Hyperstate Project. So, Elyon Badger is commanding you, the voters, spread the word. I do not want you to donate to my campaign. That is the last thing I want you to do. I want you to tell 5 people that you know that this psychopath, this furry, this absolute menace of a man, this queer riddler. Oh, that was a right-wing media publication. They called me a queer riddler. I almost died, though. That was too funny. I'm here to fight for you, the American people. I cannot be bought. I cannot be swayed. My mind is set. My Heelys are oiled, and I'm ready to scoot along the halls of Congress and maybe even trip over Mitch McConnell along my way. So, you, the voters, I need you to be charged up, just as charged up as I am, because we're going to need to actually get silly and goofy if we want to make politics fun again, huh?
Absolutely. All right, well, it started raining again, so Elyon and I had to call it quits. Honestly, that chalk's probably gonna wash off by Monday anyway. I doubt Tom will even see our nice messages. So I guess it's time for me to head over to the Mackinac Center for Public Policy and get started on my next video. All right, so here's how you can help Elyon's campaign. Concession speech, uh-oh.
This upcoming year, I unfortunately will not have time to be campaigning. This may sound selfish to some, but I care more about supporting and helping my spouse than I do care about winning an election. When I do believe that there are other candidates that I can trust to be that voice in Congress for healthcare.
He's dropping out? Dude, Elyon, what the heck? But our video.
So, to end my speech tonight, I would like to say that I am formally ending my campaign, and I'm endorsing William Lawrence. What did I tell you? I said I want you to win, didn't I?
You did say that.
I did say that.
You said you needed to see something.
I needed to see something, and what I want to see is I want to see you be as feral about healthcare as I am.
I guess if he is gonna give it to somebody, then in my opinion, that's the right choice, because Will is the best of the other candidates. At least he was the only one besides Tom that responded to my emails asking for some kind of statement about Elyon. Hi Travis, my name is Sam Inglot. I'm the William Lawrence for Congress campaign manager. Thanks for the invitation, but Will is not commenting on other Democratic primary candidates at this time. As for Barrett, feel free to attribute this to William Lawrence. He doesn't show up, he doesn't answer the phone, and he doesn't care about the people of this district. That's why he will be defeated in November. Good luck with your video. There you have it. Dang, how am I gonna end this video?